Alcohol use disorder, food addiction, gambling addiction, hoarding, uh, sexual addiction, porn addiction, any of these types of things all have the same root core issue. It's escapism from one's emotions. It's stress, anxiety, depression, repressed emotions. These are all things that someone is running away from. The reason why alcohol use disorder is so prevalent is because the substance known as alcohol is so readily available. You can get it anywhere. You can get on your iPhone and hit a couple buttons, and DoorDash will bring a case of beer to your doorstep in 20 minutes. This is a big part of the problem. It's a big part of the problem that family members have when they're trying to get a loved one out of harm's way. They're simply up against an enemy that is unstoppable, and that enemy is culturally being shoved in our faces almost from the time of birth. Drink alcohol today, it'll solve all your problems. And the exact opposite is in fact the case. It's not going to solve anything. In fact, it might mask your problem or your emotions for a short period of time, but in the end, it will give you more problems than you could even imagine, and it will exacerbate the problems that you already have in your head. You know, again, I have a complete coaching program that's really designed to help not just the alcoholic, but the family, as it's a family disease. You have to reprogram one's life. You have to help somebody reinvent themselves, and you need somebody to hold your hand who's been down this road many, many times. And again, the link is in the link tree. Set up a breakthrough call. It takes about 45 minutes. We're going to do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. The call is free. The course is not. But I'm looking for people who are committed to change their life and the trajectory of their life and their family's life forever. Now, there are a few things that absolutely have to take place for someone to ever even get towards the direction and take the first step towards sobriety. This is important for family members to recognize this, but the person has to face their denial. They have to stop being deflective and gaslighting. In other words, they have to stop projecting their problem onto other people and blaming other things, blaming society, blaming their parents, blaming their friends, their family, because it's 100% culpability of the person who's suffering from alcohol use disorder, period. Okay, whatever malady or whatever trauma they went through, they have to face that and understand it and put it into context. And we're talking about, it wasn't necessarily your fault. None of it really probably is your fault. We're not talking about fault is, but we're talking about getting to understand where you are right now and moving forward with the spot that you are in right now. And that takes reinvention. It takes rethinking, reprogramming one's brain. You're not going to be the same person. You're not going to be surrounded by the same people by the end of it, and you're not going to have the same life that you had, because you're going to be healthier. You're going to have a better life physically, a better life creatively. Your relationships are going to return. They're going to be better, and people are going to see you in a different light. You're going to have a different identity because you're a different person. This is how you're going to solve the problem of alcohol use disorder. Now, I want to talk about two different schools of thought. There is the AA Smart Recovery method, which has been time and tested. Some of it tends to be dated. And then there's like the Sinclair method, which is kind of a newer, it's been around about 30 years, where it's a tapering off method. No, both elements call each other cults when they're talking to each other. I tend to disagree. I think some things can work for certain people and some things can work for other people. Cultish? Not really. I don't believe that's the fact with either one of these. I think there's competition as far as businesses, yes, but I think there's elements in both the Sinclair method and in the AA Smart Recovery and group therapy method and counseling and that type of thing that need to be incorporated together. So I think we should bring in the tools of the Sinclair method and the group therapy and counseling of AA, Smart Recovery, and groups, because I think they're both necessary to get somebody to where they need to go, or certainly elements of both. Now, the AA, Smart Recovery, Women for Sobriety, Life Ring, or local group therapy organizations, they basically are very important because essentially, if you think of it like this, if you're surrounded by 5 people who are in recovery and they're really, their goal is to no longer drink, well, there's a good chance you're going to be the 6th one. Okay, because group therapy tends to have that kind of emotion. It brings that kind of emotion out. Some of the bad things that happen with AA is it's voluntary. I mean, you do have to go on a regular basis. You want to find one that you bond with. You don't want to go there and be repulsed by the people there or find some excuse not to go. That's easy. The thing is, it's really your job to find one that resonates with you. And there are so many different chapters. If you're a woman, I would recommend going to the female version of AA. They tend to be male dominated. And if you're a man, go to one that's specifically for men. I think that's a situation where you feel more comfortable exposing yourself. The downside to AA, I think, is just having to call yourself, and your identity is I'm an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic. And I mean, I get that. I don't think they need to spend so much time on that. I don't think they need to have every meeting starting with that. I mean, it's been true, it's been tested, but I think they need to maybe update that a little bit and get more into the person. But I think everyone should have some form of group therapy in their life, just so they're not doing it alone, because doing it alone is usually not as successful as doing it within a group and having people to talk to. And then, of course, there's the Sinclair method, which was really came together about 30 years ago by Dr. Sinclair, and it really has to talk about tapering off. So they use the medication called naltrexone, which is a medication. It's a blocker, and it helps you with the cravings. So you take naltrexone, and if you're drinking 20 beers a day, you wean off down to 15 to 10 to 5, and then what they call is extinction, which means you don't drink. And then later they say that you can be a normalized drinker, which is just a complete fallacy. I mean, I have problems with the Sinclair method, obviously, because I'm coming from a family standpoint. But I mean, I understand neuro-linguistic programming. I understand that. The problem I have with the Sinclair method just innately is that it relies on the cooperation of the person who's taking the naltrexone. Okay, you're supposed to take it like an hour before you decide to drink. Okay, well, that's a discipline that I could even imagine an alcoholic doing. I know they say it has a high success rate, but I would like to see the long-term effects. I like to visit these people in 4, 5, 10 years and see if they're still still going down the road of sobriety. I would be surprised. I think the long-term effects, you have to reinvent that person. There's so much more than just taking naltrexone, because it's a much, much deeper issue than that, and you really have to get to the core issue. I think naltrexone itself is a tool that should be used even with AA or with any kind of recovery program, if it's warranted, if it works, or antabuse, or any of the blockers. I think I'd say use all the tools and explore all the possibilities. Now, the Sinclair method, I'm going to go on the next one, I think is important if you are at a certain level of alcohol use disorder. Now, the Sinclair method, I believe, will have some benefit. Definitely have benefit. If you're an earlier stage alcoholic, maybe a stage 2, early stage 3, before you have become chemically, physically, and emotionally addicted to the alcohol, before it has become your identity, before it's overtaken your brain and done damage to you physically and mentally. To say that someone is going to taper off, I mean, if you took a late stage 3 or stage 4 alcoholic and introduced them to tapering off, I'm sorry, that's just laughable. I mean, just outright laughable. You can't take someone who is chemically dependent and physically dependent on alcohol and expect them to pop a pill and say you're going to be weaned off. I know I'm belittling it, but that's the process that a person has to go through. Most people who are hardcore alcoholics are going to drink, or they're going to find some way to circumnavigate the problem, even if they got a shot of naltrexone that might last 2 weeks. They'll just wait 2 weeks, and then they'll start drinking again. Their priority and their physical dependency on the alcohol is not going to warrant a tapering off effect. I find that to be ridiculous unless they're going to some kind of group therapy counseling, and maybe they need to be in a facility where they can be watched 24/7, or in a sober living facility type of situation where someone is monitoring their situation. It would have to be combined with something else to be successful. So really what I'm getting at, I know this might sound kind of convoluted, but taking action, any action, is better than taking no action at all. So try different things. My first course of action, I think someone should really have one-on-one counseling, someone who can walk you through. It's, they always talk about AA, and it only helps maybe 15, I hear all kinds of different things, 15, 20, 25%. Let me put it this way. If you're ready to get sober, the program that you go towards, either Sinclair Method or AA or Smart Recovery or Women for Sobriety or Life Ring or whatever you do, or get a personal counselor, somebody like myself, or a local counselor, you need to get to work. You need to get to work. You need to reinvent yourself and work on you and take responsibility. That's about 90% of it. You need to do things and reprogram your brain, so instead of drinking, you're going to do another activity. You're going to reach out for maybe a sponsor, or maybe you're going to go decide to work on your backyard. Maybe you're going to go to the gym and work out with weights, or you're going to go for a 5-mile run or jog. You're going to go walk the dog. You're going to retrain your brain to go do something else. And on your way home from work, where you used to stop at a particular store and buy your alcohol, you're going to take a different route. You're going to go that far. You're going to find a new way home and really put yourself in a better situation, so that you aren't even thinking about having to deal with the alcohol or tricking your brain out. Oh, let's just stop and just have one. No, you're not going to do that. Even in the grocery store, we break it down to most alcohol is either in the back of a store or it's in the far left. That's where they sell alcohol, in most grocery stores. If you live in a state where they don't have alcohol in the grocery store, then just avoid liquor stores entirely. Either way, just be aware of where you're at and why you're in a particular store. It's all about reinventing and reprogramming your brain to be aware of the situations that you put yourself into. Another really important things that we talk about is, the situations that you put yourself into. 4th of July, we just had the 4th of July. New Year's Day, Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, holidays, birthdays. If you know there's going to be alcohol at a particular social event, don't go. A graduation, a wedding, and there's going to be alcohol there, and everyone's going to be kind of peer pressuring you to drink, or it's going to be weird for you not to drink. Your health is more important than anything. I don't care what the situation is. And if the people that you're going to are close enough to you, they will support your decision, or for a time, they might even change themselves and not have alcohol. There's a thought too. It depends, and you will find out who your friends are. You will find out who the people who support you very quickly. Okay, you want to get around the sycophants, the yes men, who, just have one more, just have one with me. Why can't you just have one with me? You need to just get those people out of your life. To be successful, these are the kind of changes you're going to have to do. It's not about taking away things. You're not going to take away your friends. You're not going to lose your friends. You're going to have better ones, because you're going to find out maybe they weren't your friends anyways. They're just your drinking buddies. If you're in a late stage alcoholic, you tend to be surrounded by alcoholics, other people who drink, because that's the only other people who want to be around you. And if you can visually realize that your family's kind of drifted and the friends that you've had for a long time have drifted away, and you're around other drinkers, you're in a serious situation, because you've programmed yourself to be around those people. This all has to change in sobriety. And really, one of the most important things is how you see yourself, how you identify yourself. You've identified yourself as a drinker for so many years. What's it going to be like to reprogram yourself as a non-drinker? You're no longer going to be the life of the party. Are you going to be afraid you're going to be bored? Are you afraid that, oh, you're not going to be funny anymore? You're not going to be able to, escape some of your inhibitions? Don't worry about that. You're gonna have to get to know yourself, and you're gonna have to revisit yourself. And maybe you haven't done that since you were a kid. If you've been drinking for 10 or 20 or 30 years, you're gonna reintroduce yourself to yourself, and that might be scary in itself. But that's how you're gonna grow. That's how we grow as human beings, is when we face the reality of who and where and what we are. That's how we change. It's a very difficult thing. It'll be the most difficult thing you do in your life, but it'll be the greatest thing, because it's not just about you, it's about your family, it's about protecting your legacy. If you have children, again, I always say this, your children will not do what you say, they're going to do what you do. They become what you are. So if you become a healthy, mentally strong individual who gets through this disease, they're going to recognize that. They're going to recognize that and go down the same route. You are their leader as a parent. That's another issue, but your future is more than just yourself. It's your family, it's your friends, and it's your legacy, and you want to protect that. And I hope this talk has really, really helped. Again, if you know my story, I was married for 25 years, and my wife passed away a little over 5 years ago, and her memoir is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. Unfortunately, she was a stage 4 alcoholic, and I learned so much really while she was still alive and after she passed away. I learned so much and how it really had affected myself and our son. And I knew through this that I could help so many people, because it's uncharted. There aren't that many books from the standpoint of what the family went through and the family perspective. It's not an easy book to read. Let me see, on Amazon there's about 400, little over 400 reviews, about 405 reviews. It's been out 6 months. We've sold thousands of copies. It's in 15 different countries. This book is going to be around for decades, and eventually I wanted it in every rehab, every AA, Smart Recovery, Life Ring, everywhere they meet, talk about alcohol. Everyone should be reading this book, because alcoholics need to understand how they affect their family and how they affect themselves ultimately. Again, link is in my link tree. You can purchase it off my website. It's also available on Booksby, the international link. You can purchase this anywhere in the world. It's on Amazon as well, and then the ebook is also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the Apple website. And again, thanks so much for listening.